Ooh, that looks rather pretty, and in 1440p. What's up guys, Rogue9 here, and in an attempt to improve the prettiness of my videos going forward, I have built myself a new PC. In this video, I'll be showing off the specs of all the individual parts as well as the process of putting it all together. So if you're interested in that kind of technical stuff, watch on. If not, feel free to skip this one and there'll be more video game content on the way soon. My case of choice is the Cooler Master Mastercase Pro 5. I really like this case because it's so modular, almost all of the internal components can be switched around or even removed completely as needed. To provide me with processing power, I turned to Intel and picked up a brand new Kaby Lake architecture Core i7 7700K. I'm currently running this processor slightly overclocked at 4.7 GHz rather than the 4.2 GHz base clock speed. To accommodate this brand new processor, I needed an appropriate motherboard, and I've chosen to go with the Asus Strix Z270E. Most current video games ask you to have 16 GB of RAM in order to be able to run them properly, so I thought I may as well future-proof my machine somewhat, and I went one step higher to 32 GB, capable of running at 3000 MHz. When building a machine for the purpose of playing and recording video games, there is just no compromising on the graphics card, which is why I went with the Zotac GeForce GTX 1080 Amp Extreme Edition. It's not the very best graphics card out there right now, but it's pretty close. The airflow generated by the master case's 2 front fans and 1 rear fan goes quite a way towards cooling down the system, but if you want to keep your system really cool, there's nothing better than water cooling. Now, if you're a real enthusiast, of course you can build your own system with its separate reservoir, its radiator, and then your own pump and pipes. But I don't have that much faith in my plumbing skills, so I went with an integrated system. Everything is already connected, and hooking it up to the PC is pretty much as easy as attaching a regular heatsink. Now, I have to admit I was a little bit skeptical at first as to whether or not I really needed water cooling, especially since there's some pretty good heatsink and fan assemblies out there right now. But in retrospect, I'm really glad I went with the water cooling solution. Not only does the double fan and large radiator assembly do a great job at sucking away the heat, but I think one of the greatest advantages is that the hot air is blown straight out of the case. Whereas with a regular assembly, that hot air would just be blown into the case and would be heating up the other components. In terms of storage, I have 3 separate hard drives. One is just an old standard magnetic hard drive from my former PC. I will use that mainly for file storage. For lower priority programs, I'll be using a 1TB SSD, the Samsung 850 EVO, which with a sequential read speed of up to 540 MB per second should be just fine for most of my programs. And for my operating system and some higher priority software, I chose the Samsung 960 EVO M2 SSD drive. Again, this is not the very best hard drive that money can buy, but it's pretty far up there with a sequential write speed of up to 1900 MB per second and a read speed of up to 3200 MB per second. Now that's fast. And finally, while the Kaby Lake architecture is quite efficient in terms of processors and doesn't need a lot of power, the graphics card is a different story. So again, I've given myself a little bit of headroom here, and I've gone with a 650 watt power supply unit, and it's a nice quiet one, the Corsair RM650X. Now, if you've never built your own PC, but you might be interested in doing so in future, you might wonder how I went about choosing all of these components and ensuring their compatibility. Well, I have to admit I kind of cheated here. I started out by visiting the websites of some high-end PC building companies, and I used their systems to customize my own PC. Then, once I'd chosen all of the components, rather than have the companies build the PC, I just ordered all the parts individually from whoever sold it the cheapest, and I put it together on my own. Of course, even when you're customizing a PC on a PC Builder webpage, you still have to make some choices, and there was quite a bit of research involved leading up to choosing those components, and many thanks to Pogo91, whose support and advice was invaluable in helping me make those choices. And now for the most important question, and that's how's it all working? As you can see, I've had the benchmark test for Rise of the Tomb Raider running in the background again, and I'm quite happy with the results. For this test, I have the graphics settings cranked up to the maximum. The display resolution is 2560 by 1440 pixels, and in fact the only setting that isn't cranked up to the maximum is the anti-aliasing, which I have set to SMAA rather than double or quadruple SMAA. I did also once run the test at quadruple SMAA, and I have to say with the naked eye I couldn't really say that there was much of a difference in terms of the quality of the picture. If we look at the frame rate though, there is a definite difference. But at the same time I also tried out FXAA anti-aliasing and the performance increase wasn't that great. So I think SMAA single is what I'll be sticking with. Anyway, I'll see how the game runs once I start playing it, and if I do have to tweak the graphics settings slightly, that shouldn't be a problem. I mean, at the moment I have gone for the absolute overkill. I also had a go at running Rainbow Six Siege's benchmark test, and with the HD textures installed and all of the graphics settings turned up as high as they would go at 1440p, I think the game runs quite well. And again, I will see how the game runs once I start playing it properly, and if I have to take a few settings down to very high instead of ultra to secure my frame rate, well, that won't be too much of a problem, I think. All in all, I'm very happy with the results and the investment, and I think the resulting increase in graphics quality of my videos going forward will be worth it. As always guys, if you have any questions, or if you're thinking about building a PC, or you have built one recently and you have any comments about my choices of components or want to discuss, feel free to leave comments below. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you, well, no, I won't actually see you in the next episode because this is not an episodic format. I'll see you in the upcoming video game related videos. Yeah.